Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritual Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a deeper look at the new moon in Cancer. Now, a couple quick little things before I get started. I have an event coming up this weekend that's going to be in Denton, Texas. It's an oddities event that's going to be taking place on Saturday, June 23rd from 1 to 6 p.m. And I have 1,000 things that I got to do between now and that event with full bookings, real life stuff, and recording podcast episodes ahead of time. I don't have a lot of time. So I'm going to make a couple little sacrifices. And one of those sacrifices is when it comes to this particular video, I will not be pulling the tarot cards. I still want to do the new moon video, but we're not going to pull tarot cards for each individual sign. It's going to be more focused on just the astrology of that sign. We will not have that supportive element that the cards give us. So I do apologize because I know a lot of people, you like the cards. That's something that's very, very helpful for you. But for me to be able to get this out to you before the new moon, I got to nix the cards, guys. So I do apologize about that. Now, moving along. When it comes to the vibration around this is a new moon conjunct Jupiter. This is a new moon following full squares to both Saturn and Neptune. And after this new moon, those two planets are going to start to station. And between now and the full moon that we're going to have in a few weeks, both planets are going to turn retrograde. I can't say it that way. Saturn actually turns retrograde 2 days after the full moon in Capricorn. So, like between now and the full moon, we know two planets are going to go retrograde. In addition to that, this new moon is in a sextile to Mars. And it's giving guidance, it's giving direction. It's speaking of actions that need to move forward from here. But a lot of the actions feel supported, they feel necessary. And there is a little bit of strategy that starts to unfold after this new moon. Some people are already kind of seeing the first glimpses of it, but we haven't fully engulfed ourselves into that. Now, they say when the sun makes a conjunction to Jupiter, it is supposed to be the luckiest day of the year. Well, the sun Jupiter conjunction was exact on the 24th. The new moon is perfecting on the 25th. It's still very tightly in a conjunction to Jupiter. However, I do not feel like everyone is going to have these big waves of luck, but I do feel like there's going to be something that gets revealed. Jupiter can be the doctor, the guru, the teacher, someone that gives guidance, someone that tells us something that sets us free. When you go back and listen to the week ahead forecast, I said this week has a deliverance to it. And if you look at the description, I literally wrote down what the definition of deliverance means. And it is to be set free, being able to move ahead. Now, for some people, there are statements involved. And for some people this week, there are certain conversations that, again, give a green light. It gives permission. It gives support. It gives hope. It gives commitment. It gives something. Now, for a lot of people, whatever is unfolding in this new moon can also be tied back to the last full moon, the one that was in Sagittarius, because that was a full moon in Jupiter's sign right after Jupiter moved into Cancer. And now we have an actual new moon conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. Cancer is the home. Home is where the heart is. It is mothers, it is matron, it is nurturers, the people that nurture things, the things that we wish to nurture. And there's something that feels necessary to start grooming, growing, emphasizing care towards. So again, we can progress. One of the common themes that I picked up on so many people's energy whenever I was working with them over the weekend, because I did an event over this last weekend too, was a lot of people needed the green light that they could focus, they could step forward. That we've had so much go wrong, and we have, legitimately we have. The energy has not been on our side for quite some time. But a lot of people needed the guidance, the green light that they can move forward, that they can move ahead and look ahead and pay attention and commit to change. All of the last 2 months, you guys have heard me say it now, we are getting acquainted to a new normal. This new normal will be something that is unfolding all the way until 2026. So we're still at the beginning stages of whatever we're committing to. We're at the beginning stages of something new, something that we wish to push forward. And a lot of people have a desire to go in a different direction because something from the past has had to be left behind. We can't commit to these people. We can't connect to certain people. We don't trust them anymore. And the thing about the Saturn-Neptune conjunction is there are certain people, especially in positions of authority and power, that we don't trust them, that we can't support their beliefs anymore. We are more compelled to follow something that speaks true to our heart and our healing and what we desire on an emotional, empathic, intuitive level. Self-care, self-sustaining, what we need to be able to progress from here. And whenever I look at where the chart rulers are for most of the signs in this vibration, it's either something connecting you as an individual, money, and again, Jupiter can also have to do with wealth and prosperity. There's a couple signs that it's in your second, eighth house vibration going on. Again, the family, but also care and routine. And if it's not just the care that we need for ourselves, it's how we're caring for other people, how we are of service. And there's a new level of care that needs to be understood and stepped into and spoken and supported moving forward. Confidence rebuilding, moving forward. And the largest hope to Jupiter in Cancer for any sign that I have is healing on an emotional level and rebuilding confidence over the entire year that Jupiter is there. It started on June 9th. It'll last until I think it's like June 26th of next year. It's June to June. Like we got plenty of time. We're still at the beginning. So understand that where we're stepping into, what we are choosing for ourselves, where we are going next, you're getting an energetic green light that something can feel better than it has. We have to step into the new normal. We have to do some new things. I've been saying that for a while, knowing that the new things that we are committing to right now are going to lead to additional changes, strategies, procedures, new rules, new guidelines, new processes, new stuff as we progress through the entirety of the summer. It's not just one commitment. It's that flick of dominoes. It's the first few falling down before it starts to spread and hit multiple in that bigger wave of vibration that will follow. Each of these are things I've said for a while as things have been falling into place. Now we're in a place where something is available. Something has come to light. Something is in our grasp. And if you need someone to tell you you're at a green light, here I am. You're at a green light, babies. It's okay. It's okay to step into the new normal. It's okay to do something new. It's okay to focus on yourself and what you need to feel better, to feel confident, to commit to your healing. It's okay. You're not selfish. in so many ways after so much damage and so much frustration and so much of the roller coaster that we have been in over the last year, a roller coaster that I have ranted about timelessly. Now we're into something new. Use this energy to your benefit. Create your own luck with that Sun Jupiter conjunction. Commit to something very, very different for yourself. Because again, this is a new moon in a cardinal sign. It's squaring that Saturn, Neptune in a cardinal sign. Cardinal signs are instigative signs. I've said this before. It is the start of something new. Choose your adventure. Some of you need to hear it that way. Choose the change you're willing to commit to and connect to moving forward. Choose yourself. Choose your peace and your healing. In this vibration, it speaks to choosing something that brings forth hope and healing. Expect certain things to get revealed in the days around the new moon because it is a Sun Jupiter conjunction. So again, something is going to come to light. If it has to do with your health, Jupiter rules your liver. Jupiter rules your hips, your sciatic area. And I'll be honest, I think I spent like 2 hours working my hips out last night on the floor doing different yoga poses, just trying to work through some of the energy because it finds ways to manifest in your body. I'm telling you, it does. And the more in tune you become with it, the more you realize, oh my God, I'm feeling it here. Can have to do with your feet. Can also have to do with blood sugars. Whenever it comes to Jupiter, I also include blood sugars because we can have massive spikes or massive drops. Not really feeling like this is a drop energy, but it could be spikes. And there can be certain things whenever it comes to the body that comes to light, that comes into focus that we were not anticipating. But what could also get revealed to you can have to do with doctors, gurus, teachers. From them, by them, about them, around them. Use all the prepositions. Wherever we're going next, though, for many of us, the collective, it's going to impact masses, how we see the collective, and how we decide that we're going to adjust, adapt, change, take charge. For a lot of people, there can be a commitment in this new moon. A commitment with another person, a commitment in partnership, but it can also be a commitment to yourself. But there's something very profoundly new that's meant to come through this week. A direction coming through this week. Doesn't always have to be directly on the new moon. Some people think it's because it wasn't the day of the new moon, it doesn't count. That's not true. Sometimes it takes an entire lunar month. That's why we have such long like eclipse seasons. There's a vibration starting here. Recognize that vibration and the things that you're starting this week. Okay. Okay. If you have never heard a new moon or a full moon video with me before, that is okay. The way that I read the signs is I don't care if your ascendant is at 2 degrees or 22 degrees. The entire zodiac sign that your ascendant is in is your first house, and every numerical house that follows will be associated with the next zodiac sign. So with that being said, with Aries and Aries risings, this is a new moon in your 4th house of home life, family, roots, ancestry, mothers, matrons. So it doesn't always have to be your mom, but mother figures. Genetics. I include genetics with the 4th house. We forget we inherit more things besides money and names and features. You also inherit genetics. And there can be something that is coming to light around the household, in the home life. something that's becoming a little bit more sustaining in the home life. There can be an energy around new mothers that need support, your mother that just needs doctoring. There can be something new that we want to start building in the home. And given the Saturn Neptune in your first house hitting those squares, you could have made decisions to start changing something in the home so the function can be better. And I'm looking at the fact that, again, Saturn and Neptune are in your first, and Mars is in your sixth house, which is a routine house. But it can also be about pets, bringing home a new pet that's for the entire family. This is our new puppy. Love the puppy. This is our cat. Here's a snake. Here's an iguana. Some of y'all got weird animals. I don't know how many times I've seen videos of cows in vehicles now. And I grew up around cows. Trust me, my grandma was not into it. She would have never done some of the stuff that I've seen on TikTok and reels and all that. So that's one other funny thing that can happen. But making the timely decision about something about a family pet, the livestock, an animal, that can be one way of doing this, that we're going to grow it. Or there can be the discovery about the animal that we already have, and that can be a little bit heavier, but it's the truth. There can also be certain commitments that we're going to start doing different cares for ourselves at home, that we feel like we're capable of doing something at home whenever we didn't previously feel like we could. And that could be a part of that new routine change, because Mars, your chart ruler, is now in your sixth house of health. It can be your health, or it could be the health of another person, especially a family member, especially mothers and matrons. Be aware of that. Now, one of the things I've talked about over and over again is Saturn and Neptune in your first house can have a lot to do with treatments. And you might not just now be starting to deal with something in treatments. And that is going to also impact the family. And that can be another way that this is read. If it's not your treatments, it could be the treatments of someone else. And again, it can impact the family based off the way this is laid out. Pay attention to pets, what's going on in the household, what's going on with mom, the decisions you've made to do something different. You might be making a choice to move for a new place of work. That can be another way this is read. But in a lot of ways, I feel like y'all made some decisions. You did, because of the Saturn-Neptune energy, because it's in your first house. So I feel like a lot of the decisions are either because of you or you made them. So there's that. All right, moving along. For Taurus and Taurus risings, this is a new moon in your third house of communication. Short distance travel. You can get a new car, making the decision to go to a new car, having something going on with a sibling. Travel. The third house is a travel house. And considering Saturn and Neptune is in the 12th house, it is the unknown, the unseen endings, sure, but it can also be escape, road trip, vacation. I need to get out of Dodge. I'm tired of all the drama. I need to do something that I've never done before. That's a more positive way. Some of you can be getting some closure based off something that's been going on in your surroundings, getting closure based off something that's been going on with a sibling. Again, new moon in the third house. Understanding certain things from the past, given the Saturn, Neptune in the 12th. New forms of marketing, branding, communication. That can also be things around the third house. And there's a different level of attention and support that's on you right now, given that Venus, your chart ruler, is in your first house. And some of the closure, if it's closure, some of the things that are getting communicated, the places that we're going, the things that we're doing can be something that even if you aren't directly the one that caused or committed or done something, it still gives you peace or hope. It still makes you feel seen in a different way. It gives you some additional happiness because you have Venus in your first house. And in addition to that, Mars is in your fifth house of love, luck, joy, romance, happiness, children, things that go back to the childhood, things that speak to your inner child. There can be some creative energy. You can also be doing some marketing for some type of like artwork and project that we've been doing differently because, again, Third house can be communications. Other forms of communication would be marketing and branding. And we've got Mars again in the fifth. And not all of you have kids. Not all of you have relationship drama. Some of you are just trying to create, and you're looking at your creations and how people are seeing them. And that reception feels like a blessing. And that again speaks to this new work that we're doing, the new potential of things, and the reception of them. But I love Venus in your first house now compared to what we've been dealing with through most of the spring, because it feels a lot more stabilizing and hopeful. And again, some of the things that are unfolding for you, this is a little bit more bigger picture now, can also lead to new financial things over the course of the summer. Because over the next few weeks, we're going to have Mercury entering your fourth house. So that can be something with family coming up very, very quickly, your home life. But also Venus and Uranus are going to be moving into your second house of money. And there can be a lot of things that are unfolding right now that can lead to unexpected financial gains in a lot of ways, or expenses in others. So it can go either way. But my hope for everybody is gains. Okay. Moving along. For Gemini and Gemini risings, babies, this is a new moon in your second house of money. Jupiter is in your second house of money. New things financially. Now, your chart ruler, Mercury, is also in your second house of money. But it's about to change signs and go into Leo. And that's where he's going to be for the next 2.5 months because of that retrograde. In addition to that, we've also got Mars in the fourth house of home life, and family. Some of the additional finances can impact the home life. We can be making career choices, hear me out on that one, that forces you to think of the idea of moving. You can have some additional expenses to care for your family. New moon in the second, Mars in the fourth. Now that Saturn-Neptune conjunction that's going on, it's not exact. It's not going to go exact until next spring. But I mean, they're right there. They're right there. You can put a coin in between, and that's about it. Like, slide a penny through there, slide a dime. That we're not getting any closer. That Saturn-Neptune in the 11th house of friends, network, clients, colleagues. You can also have a new financial gain based off of like groups of people, based off of a new clientele coming through, having something that has to do with like the bigger group, so to speak, or just a single friend or two friends that give you some type of like idea of something else that you can be doing financially. And the next year, from June to June, Jupiter in your second house of money, the positive ways of looking at that is there's new ways of making money. We want that chatter, baby. But the other half of that could be new expenses. Both are plausible. Both have capabilities. But we have financial changes that are just starting into the horizon in this new moon that will have layers and levels that continue through the rest of the solar year. And by solar year, I mean June to June. So be aware of that. There's something shifting. There's something changing very, very quickly for a lot of you. And again, this is a new moon in your second house. The next lunation is going to be in your 8th house. So again, we still have some financial things, and they can have to do with the people that you surround yourself with, given that Saturn and Neptune in your 11th house. There can be positives. There can be negatives. I'm a lot more hopeful in this energy. Maybe that's Neptune blinding my Saturn. I don't know, but I'm a lot more hopeful that a lot of you are going to have some additional gains in finance versus the additional expense. But you know what you're going through as individuals. You know what you're dealing with on your own. Okay. Moving this along. For Cancers and Cancer risings, you troublemakers, is all you. So much going on around you. New energy around money. Jupiter in the first. New things in regards to where you see yourself going into the future. How you are of service. Jupiter in the first. That Saturn-Neptune square in your 10th house in this energy. You guys have, I've said this for so long. all of the last year has been preparing you for a new direction. And some of the decisions that you've made up until this point have been steering you into a new direction. But the amount of control you all have in creating your future is really going to become evident in this new moon. That new moon conjunct Jupiter can be a confidence boost. Hitting that Saturn Neptune square, that confidence boost is like aligning energy, showing you a direction, showing you a path. Now, because of the new things that you're doing, it can also lead to something tied to travel, having someone come in unexpectedly, something happen where it's forcing you to travel. That new moon is in a sextile to Mars. The third house is a travel house. It's a communications house. It's a new form of marketing and branding. That could be a big thing for you guys. Putting the money into marketing and branding, or having to make a choice to put the money into your travel cost, your travel expenses. Something with a car can also be a part of this too, because again, Mars is in the third house. Now, if you are committing to something new in regards to career and your career path, it's not going to be sunshine and rainbows forever. I'm going to be clear about that. And there will be some very quick things that will fall into place afterwards, where we're going to have to make some, financial decisions over the course of the rest of the summer. But you are committing to that so quickly that you can't tell me that you're not anticipating a lot of things immediately following, because you should. You know what you're committing to. You know what you're becoming magnetized by. You know what you're starting to step into, where before there was a lot of questions and it didn't feel so clear. I feel like there's a lot of clarity for the Cancer risings this week. And that clarity can be very big in boosting our confidence in regards to where we're going next and everything that we're trying to learn, everything that we're trying to take on, all of the new forms of experience. The trajectory of our direction is huge. And a lot of the last few months' energy has been building to this point for you guys. Balls in your court, babies. Okay. Moving this along. We're into Leos and Leo risings. Now, this is a new moon in your 12th house. The unknown, the unseen, endings, betrayal, sure, escapism, cutting something off, something coming to a close, cutting someone off. That's one way to look at this. Committing to your healing. It's another way to look at this. Committing to doing what's best for you, your loved ones, your children, and letting go. Starting the process of letting things go. Now, in the moment, can you be blindsided by something? Absolutely. It's still a 12th house new moon. But over the course of the next year, I'm looking at the idea of Jupiter in the 12th. It is going to trigger a lot of closure. It is going to trigger a lot of healing. It is going to trigger a lot of growth. It is going to trigger a lot of change that you are going to have to start committing to in yourself. Making active choices to not put so much support onto other people and being a lot more self-focused. I don't want to say self-centered because that sounds really egotistical. Self-focused, self-sustaining. Now, you can have a lot of insecurities that get brought up to the surface, especially with as active as your 12th house is going into this vibration. Jupiter's here, the sun's there. Of course, we got the moon because it's a new moon. Mercury is still there. Now, once Mercury moves into Leo, which that's going to happen over the next few days, there can again be some kind of news, some type of arrival that even again brings up that level of like insecurity, betrayal, closure, healing, depending on where you're at on your individual level. Be aware of that vibration that Mercury brings in, because once Mercury comes into Leo, and again, we're 2 days away from that. That's going to happen on the 26th, 27th timeframe. Mercury is going to come into Leo. When that happens, Mercury will be in your first house for the next 2.5 months because he's not leaving until September. And the arrival of Mercury brings forth the first round of awareness of the changes you will be making over the summer, because that Mercury retrograde is in your first house. You're not the problem right now, but in some ways, over the course of the summer, you will be, based off of what this energy brings to the surface for you guys, around you guys, to you guys. Because some things are just going to fall on your plate. And you're, again, just going to feel the blindsiding of it. And then you're going to have to start doing the best with what you can. And one element of what's going to start to unfold very quickly after this new moon will be financial, because Mars is in your second house of money and will be until just about the end of the Mercury retrograde. So be aware of that too. Okay, moving along. For Virgos and Virgo risings, this is a new moon in your 11th house of friends and networking, clients and colleagues. But immediately after this, your chart ruler, Mercury, is going to move into the 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, endings, betrayal, uncharted territory, healing, escapism, foreign countries, prisons, for the next 2.5 months. Many of you are going into uncharted territory. And based off of the commitments of who we are starting to work with, who we are trying to trust, who we are starting to do things with, it's going to take you into charts unknown. It's going to make you deal with loss in different ways. It is going to make you deal with betrayal in different ways. It is going to bring a lot of insecurities to the surface. Is this all happening directly during the new moon? No. The new moon, again, feels hopeful. It feels healing. But it's also got you committing and going into something you've never done before, that you're not used to dealing with. Now, with Mars in your first house, and this new moon is making a sextile to Mars. Mars is hosting that Saturn-Neptune conjunction in your 8th house. Now, this can start off with a bill, an investment, some additional expense, a winnings, a payout of some sort, a debt that really starts to create the shape and the direction of how this summer is going to go. And again, for a lot of you, you're going into uncharted territory. Now, Mars in your first house, there's a lot of drive, there's a lot of ambition, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of reaction. You guys are dealing with some things. And over the course of the energy within the next week following this new moon, so literally from, I'm right now, it's Tuesday the 24th when I'm recording this, between now and next Tuesday. So that's July 1st, I think. Between now and next Tuesday, there's going to be a lot of things that kind of come up to the surface that we might not have been anticipating, that either creates disruption for you or it motivates you. It can be positive or negative. But I think we get the confirmation of something here, the awareness of something here in this new moon, of where the action, where the disruption, pivotal or chaotic, will be literally within the week. Now, some of the things about Mars in your first house is it makes you a little bit more tempered. Be fair about that. But it can also give you tunnel vision and drive. So our tempers can flare a little bit more easily. We can be a little bit more curt in our words, determined to get things done, determined to achieve something, determined to create something. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But I think for a lot of Virgo risings, you guys are a driving force. Now, the other thing about Mars in the first is it can also make you very accident prone. And I need y'all to be careful for the next few weeks with Mars in your first. You are more likely to break out in a rash. You are more likely to have issues with your blood pressure. You are more likely to have the bumps and bruises that you cannot understand. You are more likely to cut yourself. Be careful. It is what it is. But one of the things about being Mars ruled that I know for a fact is when I get tunnel vision, I don't pay attention to what I just bumped into. I don't notice it until later. And I see how bruised or cut up I actually am. So the accident prone vibration is very, very real. And I need y'all to understand that. You are a little bit more accident prone right now, even though you are also extra driven and extra motivated. And I also want you guys to be very, very aware of whatever happens Sunday evening. Again, that's Sunday of this new moon, like the Sunday following this new moon. So that's going to be the 29th during that moon Mars conjunction, because that can either bring something onto your plate that directly ties to this new moon, or it brings like tension and frustration that still kind of ties back to this new moon in some way. So this whole first week following the new moon, be aware that you are stepping into that uncharted territory, or you're going to start understanding some kind of loss, something that feels like a betrayal, something that is going to come to a close. You guys might start making the decision to cut some people off. And that creates tension, arguments, and frustration. So be aware of that. This first week around this new moon is going to be real interesting for you guys. But I also feel like for a lot of you, you are the driving force. Okay, moving along. For Libras and Libra risings, this is a new moon in your 10th house of career, goals, public image, hopes and dreams for the future. It can also have to do with fathers and father figures. Now, this is a new moon squaring Saturn and Neptune in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships. And there could be a new thing that's starting to unfold in regards to our goals going into the future and someone else and their commitment and their desires and their hopes. But there's something about that commitment we are not seeing clearly because Saturn and Neptune are in a conjunction. And we can have our rose-colored glasses on. And it doesn't matter how many times I warn you guys whenever we have rose-colored glasses, I know what you're going to do. We're focused on the goal. We're focused on where we're going next. We're focused on what we wish to achieve. We're focused on our dads. Because sometimes it's going to have to do with dad. How our husbands and our fathers are getting along, how our partners and our fathers are getting along. That can be one area that this comes through. There could be something that is promised or spoken about with another person that leads to an investment towards the future. Why do I say it that way? Your chart ruler, Venus, is in your 8th house. Death, debt, taxes, inheritance. Payouts, insurance, investments, shared assets, shared resources. A legal matter could result in certain types of payouts, Venus in the 8th. That literally changes the trajectory of the future. And that would be great if the payout is towards you, but some of y'all going to be having to pay it out. And that's going to lead to additional levels of disruption, additional levels of change. A lot of the vibration that has been getting set all through the month of June is setting the stage for where the changes are going to be during that Mercury retrograde that we're going to have this summer. I'm making you aware of that. If we are trusting another person, please understand you are seeing them with rose-colored glasses. You are not seeing them clearly with the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. It's very easy to either be manipulated in some ways. I hate saying it that way, but it's true. Or to only take something at face value because our hope is that they are as real and authentic as you are. That's not necessarily always going to be the case. What I'm looking at for you guys is the ruler of your 7th house of relationships is in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, endings, betrayal. You are in some uncharted territory. Now, considering Mars is in your 12th while your chart ruler is in your 8th, a lot of you might be dealing with death. Closure, close out, clearing something, releasing something, purging something. And after this release and purge is done, it's like it gives you an idea of where the future is going to go. You're getting an idea of why you need to Sell these things off, clear these things out, remove these things from your path, from your light, from your vibration. There is direction. Our hopes and dreams for the future are going to change, but so too are some of the people that we surround ourselves with. Because after this new moon, Mercury is going to go into your 11th house of friends, network, clients, people in our surroundings. That's where he'll be for the next 2.5 months. And there's going to be people that you surround yourself with that will not make it to the end of the summer with you. And I need you to know that before we get into some of the summer stuff. And the first inkling of what that means and what that looks like will show itself very quickly, even if you don't act upon it very quickly. So there's a lot of vibration in this revealing energy as to what your next steps are moving forward. The other negative thing, I hate saying it, it's true. The 8th house can also be a house of secrets. And with your chart ruler being in the 8th house, if we are, again, committing to certain people, we might be a secret. So make sure you're doing the right things in your own personal decision-making to protect yourself from certain situations. Okay, there's that. Moving along. For Scorpios and Scorpio risings, this is a new moon in our 9th house. Higher education, higher learning, travel. Some of us might be making plans to travel, especially travel for work. Some of us might be having somebody come from a long distance. And once they arrive, like it shows us different things, or we're showing them different things about our work, about our routine, about what we're doing, what we're building, where we've been growing. Over the last few months, Mars, one of our chart rulers, has been in that 10th house of career, and it has put a lot of motivation or a lot of disruption in that 10th house. Now that Mars is in that 11th house of friends, network, clients, and colleagues, some people are coming to see the aftermath of what went wrong from Mars in the 10th. Some people are coming to see the results of all that you've been motivated to do, all that you've been building. And some people will come far and wide. They will travel the states. Some of you will be the one traveling. And once you're there, it's like, I haven't seen you in so long. Your vibration is different. And that can be a good thing. For other people, it can be a negative thing. For some people, once we start to connect again, if you've been disconnected for a long time, we ain't seen each other, and we haven't been able to hang out, it's been so different. It's like you go back and suddenly it's not just that the world has changed. It's like the energy between the two of you has changed. And be prepared for that too. Doesn't always have to be negative. A lot more are going to see the appreciation of other people, given that Venus is in the 7th. They're going to see how people are benefiting. They're going to see how people admire. They're going to see how people trust. And that admiration and that trust can lead to something different happening very, very quickly as we go into July. And again, that can be a good thing. We can be committing to new forms of learning. New moon in the 9th conjunct Jupiter. New learning, new teaching. And that teaching can be a part of our routine. Some of us are literally going to start looking at the option of new careers and a new path, but there's a travel element to it. And it's either we're going away for a conference, that type of thing, or we're getting some kind of call to relocate for work. And that could be another possibility. What I'm looking at is immediately following this new moon, we're going to have that Mercury going into Leo, and Mercury will be there for 2.5 months because of the retrograde. Well, once Mercury is in Leo, he'll be hosting Mars in that 11th. Clients, network, community, co-workers, But then later on, Venus and Uranus are going to go into your eighth. And that can be unexpected changes in our finances and the connections with our people, the connections with our clients. And where you have a certain plan for how something is going to go right now, it can vastly adapt and change in positive and negative ways by the end of the summer because of the Mercury retrograde. So be aware of that. Okay. Moving along. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius risings, this is a new moon conjunct your chart ruler in your eighth house. Death, debt, taxes, inheritance, investments, shared assets, shared resources. We can be actively committing to a new debt because this is a new moon again conjunct your chart ruler. Now, Saturn and Neptune are in your fifth house of love, luck, joy, romance, happiness, and children. You could be committing to some kind of new expense or new debt because of the kids. That's one way to look at it. Because of a creative project. That's another way to look at it. Because of something that gives us pleasure. Some of us are looking at certain creative things that we are working on and trying to invest in how this can be a big part of our future. So what I'm also looking at the fact is now Mars is in your 10th house of career. And there can be some disruptions in that work area that are going to lead to changes over the course of the rest of the summer and become new ways of how you make money. Jupiter now in the eighth. Just as much as we can be taking on additional debt, we can also be taking on additional investments, additional money, additional financial gains. So be aware of where we're at right now. Because we have a new adaptation, a new change coming in that career area, in that career focus. Now, some of you might also be committing to some type of additional expense that's going to lead to additional training, taking a quick class over the summer, trying to get some type of foresight of something new that we want to do, or we're committing to some additional travel. Because what I'm looking at is immediately following this new moon, Mercury is going to go into your ninth house. Higher education, higher learning, institutions, but institutions can be a couple of different things. It can be a bank, it can be a prison, it can be a hospital, it can be a school, a library, but it can also be travel. The ninth house can have to do with travel. And you could be booking the flight with a loved one, with a friend, with the idea that you're going to travel this summer. We're going to do road trip Route 66 hot girl summer. Let's go have a cruise. Let's go have fun. Let's go to the beach. Let's go to the mountains. Let's go. I don't even care where. How Sagittarius does that sound? Let's go. Your chart ruler is exalted in the sign of Cancer. It is uplifted. It is supported. Many of you need to feel supported. And that support is going to allow for other things to unfold over the course of the summer. There is direction in this unfolding, in this potential, in this path. But in the moment, it could be something super mundane. It could be a new bill. It could be a new credit card. It could be a loan. It could be a payout. Insurance payout, lottery payout, whatever. Use that vibration to your advantage. Just know what you're getting into. And know that whatever we're starting to commit to here, especially for you guys, because it's your chart ruler, is going to be steps of some things that are going to unfold over the course of the entire year. And a lot of what we're starting to do from this point forward is preparing us for, yes, the Mercury retrograde, but also eclipse season. And the other half of the eclipse axis is not necessarily, we have one half in Mercury sign, but the other half, the North Node, it's in Pisces. It's in Jupiter sign. So there could be a lot of gains in this vibration. The negative side can be debt. The negative side can be additional expenses that we didn't anticipate. The negative side can literally be death, the aftermath of death, dealing with death, understanding death in a different way. And the biggest thing that I can say if we're dealing with death is there's a lot of firsts. You don't start to feel like a somewhat of a person again until after a year of the firsts. That first holiday, the first birthday, the first anniversary of that person no longer being here. And if you got family, if you got kids, that's a lot of firsts because you can have all their birthdays without that person too. But we can also be making our first steps in transformation of how we go through our healing process after a death, if we're not immediately dealing with one right here. Okay, moving along. For Capricorns and Capricorn risings, this is a new moon in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships, legal matters, contracts. What are we signing? Who are we signing with? There's a commitment being made here. The new moon in the 7th can be a commitment to another person. It can be a commitment to a company, a commitment to yourself. It can be a contract on a home. Why do I say it that way? Saturn, your chart ruler, is in that conjunction to Neptune. Saturn is also making a square to Jupiter and that new moon, pushing an agenda. Some of us might be asking for someone else to commit to something. Now, your focus can be on your family, on you as a mother, on something around your mother and your family and your home life, and how your family is seeing a new commitment. And again, Saturn squaring that new moon, just as much as Neptune, but Saturn squaring that new moon. Getting an idea of something as to where we're going to go next. Even if we're not immediately doing everything right then, there's a commitment in this vibration for you guys. And it's going to lead to financial changes over the course of the summer very, very quickly, because again, immediately following this new moon, Mercury is going to go into Leo. And he's going to be there for 2.5 months. Death, debt, taxes, inheritance, shared assets, shared resources, money. And we can either start making a commitment right here that's going to lead to immediate financial changes in regards to how we're spending money, in regards to how we're making money, in regards to where we want certain money to be invested, in the ways that we are accepting certain vibrations. Now, this commitment could be like a loan, but I'm thinking like HELOC type of loan, like home renovation type of loan. We're going to borrow that money so we can fix the house, so we can add that room on, so we can convert the garage, so we can build a shed in the backyard, a barn dominium, something. That can be the commitment too. But a lot of what we're committing to, whatever's coming into focus from the other side, whatever's presenting itself from the other side, it is going to lead to transformation and change. And first and foremost, for many of you, it is financial transformation and change over the course of the summer. Commit wisely. Trust your gut, trust your instincts, trust the facts, the figures, the receipts. Cross your I's, dot your T's, get everything in writing. Do not just trust that someone else is going to do what they say they're going to do, especially if we're doing contractual commitments. No. Put it in writing, deadlines, whatever you need it to be, percentages of ownership, whatever this is, make sure you get everything in writing. Okay. Moving along for Aquarius and Aquarius risings. This is a new moon in your 6th house of health. How you care for yourself, how you care for other people, how you are of service, different things in your routine, different things in the way that you care for yourself, different things around pets and animals. Now, this is a new moon sextiling Mars in your 8th house. Death, debt, taxes, inheritance. finances. There's a money element here. Now, your chart rulers are in a real interesting energy. Saturn is starting to slow down. That's the first one. Saturn's been in Aries for about a month now. He's brought in this first round of changes and ideas and ambitions, but only so much is going to stick because over the course of the next few weeks, Saturn will turn retrograde. Again, that's going to happen on January 12th, just after the full moon in Capricorn. In addition to that, between now and the full moon, Uranus, your other chart ruler, is going to move into Gemini. Love, luck, joy, romance, happiness, children, inner child behavior, psychological behaviors that spur back to the childhood, creative energy, creative projects. Now, as Saturn is starting to slow down in that third house, we can be having issues with communication. We begin having issues with travel, issues with our vehicles that don't necessarily make sense because, again, Saturn is in the third. But Uranus is going to go into the fifth. We might be changing our gears in a certain type of communication, changing the way that we're talking to our siblings, changing the ways that we're doing certain things so something else can begin, so something else can start. A new creative outlet, a new fun adventure, Uranus going into the fifth. But what I'm also looking at is that financial element still of Mars in the eighth. Some of what can be unfolding around this new moon might at first have expenses to it. Additional expenses that we were not necessarily anticipating, but we're going to have to take care of now. We're going to have to rely on someone now, especially because Mercury, the ruler of your eighth house and the ruler of your fifth, is about to go into your seventh house of relationships, partnerships, contracts, and legal matters. There is going to be a focus on another person to do what they say they're going to do. And we're going to have some focus that speaks to levels of accountability. Now, if it's all fun and games, sometimes somebody doesn't like to be held accountable. If we've already put the money into something, we have no choice but to hold them accountable. But the vibration speaks to whatever new thing in our routine that is going to start to pop up can also be something that is going to make us see another person very, very differently over the course of the summer because of Mercury. And our reliance on certain people over the course of the summer will change drastically. Who we commit to, who we talk to, who we're friends with, who we believe. Some of this will have a legal aspect that will follow, but there might be the first commitment towards something supportive that needs to happen in this beginning for us to understand the change of that other side in partnership. It's kind of bittersweet for you guys still. Because in some ways, Uranus going into Gemini can be a lot of fun. It can be very exciting. But with Saturn stationing, it's like, as much as there can be fun and excitement with the Uranus vibration, with Saturn stationing, there's also some part of us that's like, I don't trust or believe or want to do something with someone anymore. And as much as we want to do one thing new, another part of us wants to like remove support in another way, to no longer do certain things with our siblings, with people in our surroundings, the way that we have been as of late. And again, that can be a little bittersweet, depending on how the human effect of all of this is playing out. Okay, moving along. For Pisces and Pisces risings, this is a new moon in your fifth house of love and luck and joy and romance and happiness and children. This is a new moon in the sextile to Mars in your seventh house of relationships, partnerships, contracts, and legal matters. There can be some kind of new thing around your children that results in a legal matter. There could be a new thing going on around your kids that introduces you to somebody that you were not anticipating. Mars in the seventh. Now, the thing about the seventh house is it's not always about a romantic relationship. Sometimes it is, other times it's not. So for some of you, there's going to be a romantic vibration to this. That's the truth. But for others, there's not. There's going to be a new potential friendship, a new person coming through, a pivotal person coming through, someone that brings disruption, but it doesn't have to be negative disruption. But there's something about the other side that's also playing into this new vibration. Now, Jupiter is one of your chart rulers. And this can be a new thing that you start committing to for yourself, that I want to go out and see people differently. I want to go out and connect. I want to go out and make friends. I want to do something that makes me happy. I want to do something fun and exciting and just speaks to my inner child. I want to do something. And because you go on that rafting adventure, you go to the pool, you go to the park, you go to that hiking trip, you go wherever you're going to go, it leads to meeting new people. Mars in the seventh. There can also be the discovery of something that impacts a legal matter. New moon conjunct Jupiter with Mars in the seventh. Now, right now, we're also looking at Saturn and Neptune, your other chart ruler, is in your second house of money. And over the course of the next few weeks, you guys can be very likely making some decisions of, I don't want to continue to pay for something, or this isn't what I paid for, this isn't what I anticipated. And we're going to have something either like come to a completion, or we're going to withdraw support, whether that's financial support or physical support, just firing somebody, not doing something like that. That can be a possibility. Or there can be something brought to forth from the other side that creates a new disruption in the family. Why am I saying it this way? Because Venus and Uranus over the next few weeks will also be making their conjunction and moving into your fourth house of home life, and family. There's things around the home life coming through in a different way. There's things around money that's about to have a turn. There's things around love, luck, joy, romance, happiness, children, that's a part of this vibration just as much as the other side. Now, some of whatever starts to come to the surface from that other side, you might have spurred it. You might have brought a lot of that forward. But it wouldn't be immediately in this vibration. It would have been prior to now. And it's just now starting to come to the forefront. It's just now starting to come more into light and more into focus. But whatever starts to unfold immediately following this new moon is going to either put different attention onto health once Mercury goes into the sixth, put different attention onto our routine, how we are of service, how we care for other people, because Mercury is going to go into the sixth. And that's where he'll be for 2.5 months. Because again, we're going to have a Mercury retrograde. But that Mercury is going to be hosting that South Node and Mars in your seventh. It is going to be hosting Venus and Uranus in your fourth. There's a lot of things tied to family, children, the other side, that it starts to fall into place immediately following this new moon. That's going to lead to the layers and rounds of changes over the course of the summer based off of the information that gets brought to light. For some people, that's going to be a good thing. For others, it's going to be a whirlwind and turn a lot of things upside down. Be prepared for both. And know that in the week, literally the week immediately following this new moon, whatever direction that's going to be is going to show itself very, very quickly. Okay. I love and appreciate every single one of you. I'm sorry I wasn't able to do the cards today. Like I said, I had to make some kind of sacrifice somewhere to make everything work out the way that I needed to. And this was the one that I could do that made a lot of sense and saved me at least an hour of time, not including the editing time and all that. So again, I will be in Denton, Texas this weekend. I have no events through July 4th. My plan is to actually be at home and just take some home time for the first time since Easter. And then on July 12th, I will actually be doing a local event here in the Sand Springs area. So there's a lot coming up. Keep me posted on everything. I love and appreciate every single one of you. I will talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.